real quick, if you haven't heard about the FX Summit 2023 conference in Miami, make sure you guys grab your tickets, FXSummit2023.com. We'll make sure to see you there, June 9th to the 11th. Come learn from some of the best traders, investors, and crypto enthusiasts. We'll see you guys there. All right, welcome back, everybody. I am on the road right now, so you guys might see my camera is a little bit shaky, but I have a very special guest here, Mr. Joseph Caruso, and then we might have another special guest chiming in halfway through. Joe, welcome to the Expert Trader Podcast.
Thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. As somebody who's watched a lot of your podcasts, and, just a year ago, like I was watching all these trading podcasts, between Trading Nut, yours, like I was trying to soak in as much as I can. And it's pretty insane to be in this spot, just 6-8 months down the road. And it all started really from FX Summit. Like I went into FX Summit, I was at the brink of profitability. I didn't quite cross the line yet, but I was starting to pass challenges. There was even 1 or 2 payouts I was able to get, and then I would blow the challenge. I would mess it up. I was unable to be consistently profitable for more than, like 2 months, basically. So I knew I was missing something. And I went into FX Summit with that mentality of, I'm going to look to find what it is that I am missing. And it was there that I met Derek. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know much about him. I had a conversation, like we talked for half an hour, 45 minutes. He told me about his free course. And literally from that day of the first day of FX Summit, I was watching his course on YouTube. I was already starting to backtest and implement this strategy. And from that moment on, and pretty much for the next 3 to 6 months, I was backtesting every single day. I was constantly in touch with him. I knew that what he was doing was different, that I wasn't used to. It was something that I instantly knew as somebody who'd been in trading for about 2 years, that this was different. And as the months went on and I was constantly in touch with him, getting his advice, getting a little bit, you could say, like coaching from him. It was about November. He told me that he was going to start something new. He was going to be doing something big and he wanted me to be a part of it. And it's funny because I thought he was going to give me 2 months of free I thought he was going to give me some free signals, early access to something. I had no idea what it was literally going to become. And then come November, December, it was about time. And he's like, I want you to be teaching alongside me. I've been watching you. I've been seeing what you're doing. I've seen your results. And to be given that type of opportunity, it was crazy to be doing that. And that was how me and him, got together to do Trader Society Academy. And man, we went the first 2.5 months without calling a single loss. We went all of December, all of January, half of February without a single loss.
Derek, welcome to the show. Better late than never. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Derek Vandelander in the house, aka Derek Vandy. Welcome.
Yes, sir. What's up? How's it going? Roy, good to be on, my man.
Good to see
you.
Much
respect from me to you, as always. Love the hustle, brother.
My man, just saw you out in Scottsdale. That was very awesome. I appreciate you making it out, dropping some heat. Me and Joe were just talking about how you guys met. And I was asking Joe about his first impressions of you, but I think it would make more sense to start the other way around. Could you give me your first impressions of Joe and kind of how you guys got connected?
Actually, so what happened was we were doing the FX Summit. I was at the booth and it was a weird time in my life, super weird time in my life. And I think I went like a week without eating and not very much sleep. And it was crazy, but I was just talking to the people that wanted to talk to me. And I'd sit there and talk to people for like 30, 45, and even an hour. I think Joe was sitting up there talking to me for probably an hour. And I was just going off like how I normally do. About trading and like what I feel the truth to actually being a successful trader and what it takes. And, Joe just stayed there and kind of, I think he rotated back actually too, after he went around. And, I was talking to him about the YouTube and the course, and I was like, bro, check it out. A lot of nuggets in there. And like, honestly, it's the same way I trade, basically, like always improving things. But if you get the grasp of what's on the YouTube course, you can really dial it down and make it happen. And so, there was probably 15, 20 people like that all day that were actually like really interested. But Joe was just one of the people that happened to stick. And, he took it serious, was constantly asking me questions. And like, so I was watching from the sidelines, like, okay, what's this guy gonna do? And then I saw he was like getting better and better, like tagging me, posting like really good trades. And then I was kind of following him. He was doing like a little signal room, and I was like following him, and I was like, dang, dude, he's doing good. He had like an 86% win rate, and I was just like, for a month, I was like, that's solid, calling super good trades. And that's when I split off with the guys from Trader Society, and I was like, dude, I'm doing my own thing. And of course, I wanted to do it with someone that my whole goal was to do it with someone who trades like me and really, really is disciplined in the market. Like that's my biggest thing. Like, there's account flippers and then there's people that are constantly trying to like grow their account. And, to me, that's the right way. If you want to stay a profitable, consistent trader, like those base hits. And so I was starting the academy and I was like, dude, I got the two kids, I got everything going on. Like, I need someone to help me. And so, I talked to Joe and, did some more training with Joe. And frick, dude, he jumped on with me and like he was calling bomb trades, dude. Like he would I was actually the first one to lose a trade, calling these signals. But we went 2.5 months without calling a bad signal, man. And it was just flowing. And ever since then, he's been just crushing it. I mean,
So
I love the underdogs.
100%. And this is why I'm so fascinated by this story. It's like somebody who just showed up to learn, who was very hungry. But like you said, there was a bunch of people that stopped by the booth, but he ended up sticking. So Joe, I kind of want to point this, kind of turn this over to you. From your perspective, what were you trying to get out of the conference, and what did you feel like kind of brought you to Derek, and why were you able to be so persistent?
Yeah, so going into the summit, as far as trading, like I got into trading around 2020, like when the whole COVID thing. So I was one of like the people. I had just been trading for about roughly 2 years and struggling. Like I wasn't part of a trading group. I didn't have a certain mentor. Like I felt like I was kind of lost in the space as far as trying to pick a little bit of one guy from here, a little something somebody said over here. I heard this one podcast, this guy said that. I was my actual trading was like I was scalping US 30 only around NYSE Open and just within like a 2-3 hour period. And like I said, it was ups and downs. I was just knew I was missing something and I wanted it so bad. I mean, that was around that time. My second child was just born. My third wasn't born yet. So right now I have a 1, 2, and a 3-year old. So I really wanted to be home with them and provide them the best life. And I was not trying to go back to work. Right around the FX Summit, I was working at Amazon. I shortly quit Amazon a couple months after FX Summit, but that was my life was waking up, live trading, then going to work, listening to podcasts while I was at work, driving around. And then at night, I was watching his videos and back testing. And I was doing that consistently day after day. But I felt like I was at the point of doing whatever it took because a couple months before FX Summit, um, I was that guy that made every mistake you possibly could with prop firms. I probably tried doing them a little bit too early. Like I said, before I even had a defined strategy, before I really understood I understood the basics, but not to the point of where I should have been to start challenges. But I was like, if I blew an account, I was buying one almost immediately. And I noticed I was starting to get a little bit further on them, progress a little bit better. Instead of failing in phase one in the first week. I was starting to go 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I would get a retry. It was like slowly. And it's like that little bit of progression. And then with FX Summit coming up, I felt that I was able to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, that I knew I was missing something and I saw myself starting to progress. And I just had this feeling, man, like I was going to latch on to something that was going to happen at FX Summit. I didn't know what it was, but like Derek was saying, I went there, I went around, I talked to everybody, and there was just something different about the conversation I had, the type of person. It's just so weird the way things can happen sometimes. And like I said, that I just hitting it that same night of just hitting up his YouTube and then DMing him about it, and just the way it all unfolds. And he was getting back to me like right away. I think he knew exactly who I was when we were
Mhm.
talking. Yeah,
I
it's
think my
crazy.
two biggest takeaways from this is it kind of seems like this was the right time because you had already gone through all this experience. You've already made a bunch of mistakes. It kind of seemed like this was the perfect time to come across this. And second is that Joe likes to stay busy. A 1, 2, and 3-year-old back to back. Someone is staying busy over at the Caruso household. Derek, talk to me.
Yes.
When you were going off to start your own thing, what were you looking for as kind of like a running mate, and what did you find in Joe? Like as somebody who is going to come to the summit or someone who's a trader listening to this, like I want to team up with a Derek one day. Like what are some of the things that really stood out to you?
You know, it was the fact that he just like tried making it happen. Like he was doing all the right things. He was constantly posting every day, like his trades, like trying to make it happen. And like I knew he needed some guidance, right? But then he started like a group and was like very consistent in his group. And I was like, dude, that's like, and he's trading my strategy, right? So I'm like sitting there just like it's super important to me because you have I'd say 99% of people, they, you can tell them one thing, but they're not going to take it seriously. They're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. What I noticed about Joe is that he actually took it very seriously and was like very specific in his approach to the trading strategy. And that's honestly what made it me like, yeah, I need this guy just because, I'm a busy guy as well. And oh my gosh, flies, man. Are you kidding me? But it was just the pure fact that, he was consistent with it and doing exactly what I told him to do, and he was seeing massive results. And that's ultimately what I wanted, what I needed. Because you can even tell like some of the students, like I can tell them, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Like, don't put as much risk in the market as you're putting. You don't always have to be in trades. And like, you'll see him post like scalp after scalp after scalp after scalp. And it's like, bro, like, I mean, I'm giving you the blueprint to make it happen, and you're trying to scalp every trade. And then, like, I have discernment, man. So I can see when people are like, they'll say they're passing challenges, and then it's like, I haven't heard from you in a while. What happened there? It's like, they blew their account. It's like, so that, is just
It's
one
just
of
like
those.
he was very coachable. Is
Yeah,
that
so
probably the
coachable,
best way
man.
to put it? That's awesome.
Yeah. And he still is,
And do you feel
he's
like, as because you have the success, you kind of have a strategy, you have a blueprint. If someone wants to come learn something from you, do you feel like that's one of the most important qualities? It's like, look, if you're going to be coachable and you're going to take what I say and run with it, I'm willing to put some time into you. But if I'm going to give you all
exactly.
this info and you're going to go blow accounts and all this other stuff, then you kind of feel like it's a waste of time.
Yeah, it's 100% a waste of time. Like at the end of the day, like I do this because I love helping people, man. And that's one of the reasons why I do this. It's not necessarily for like, oh, let's see how many subscribers I can get and yada yada yada. Like I'm good. Like regardless, I'm good. I don't need this, but when you can actually change someone's life and like I really know how to as far as it goes in like a trader's world. Um, and then you do that, like that brings me like so much more happiness than, like I really don't want to deal with someone that's not gonna like listen because I've pretty much lived off of just trading alone for the last 5 years, like pretty much just trading. I mean, I had like some sort of things, but like the my main income has been trading. And that's why like I feel that I know so much about what it really takes to be like a trader. Because at the end of the day, 99% of these people, they're not going to go off and start a trading business at this time and all of a sudden kill it. Like they're trying to be a trader. They're not going to start a signal business and absolutely kill it right now. Like I feel like you have to have that by now you have to have like that your name out there. It's not just something that's going to happen. And so I think it's important to realize that like a lot of these guys, they're living off of subscriptions or at least making a ton of money off that, which relieves a lot of pressure when you're trading. And if you don't have that, like there's pressure when it comes to trading, and you really have to have a detailed system. Otherwise, you're trying to flip accounts when this is your main source. Good luck sticking around. you know?
Yeah, that's a big piece is like the financial security is something we've been talking about a lot. Everyone kind of wants to portray like the full-time trader kind of persona, but people don't realize how much stress comes with being full-time. Like Joe, you said
Yeah.
you were working at Amazon before the summit. Do you feel like having a job helped you because you had financial stability, or was it distracting you from your trading?
I definitely needed it for the financial stability because there were times, especially throughout COVID, when like I originally I had lost my job because of COVID. And then there was a period of time where I was collecting money, and that was when, I got into it with IML, and that was how I had learned about trading. And at that point, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a full time trader. I just heard about what it was a month ago. And I felt like with that was where then the pressure comes in of, well, these bills have to get paid. You have to find a trade setup, or else the car payment's not going to be paid. The rent isn't going to be paid. Where even after FX Summit, like I left the job shortly after, there were still periods of time where I did part time work scattered around. I didn't just completely transition from working at Amazon trading in the morning, made a killing, was able to quit and just be a full time trader. Like I definitely eased into it because the first funded account that I maintained was 100K. So, even with that, you can't really make a killing. So I was like, I had gotten that and then still doing part time stuff because that completely relieved it. Because then I know like the part time work that I'm doing is paying the rent. It's paying the bills that have to get paid. And I realized that then the trading could be so much more relaxed. And like you said, that is a huge problem is people see somebody has 100K day, they have a 200, they see these big numbers and they think it's so attainable in a short period of time. They don't realize that these guys that make that, like Derek said, they have other jobs, other businesses, half a dozen businesses that they could, if they lost that 50K that they put in an account, like it's not a big deal to them. Where if that's your full time job, you can't afford to risk 10, 20, 30% of your account on a trade. It's just not sustainable long term.
Derek, do you have a story about like either having income or not having income and trading? Like, do you feel like it helps, or do you feel like having a job kind of distracts you from getting better at the skill?
Oh, I mean, it definitely helps to have like an income on the side, right? Like, when I first started, I got lucky, man. I was in a trade on GJ, 10 lots, I think, during Brexit, and was just happened to be on the right side of the coin. And in the market, I didn't even know there was news. I made like 50 grand that day, and it was new money to me. So I took that very serious. And then I grew that account from there and then lost a bunch. But it was one of those things that um without that, and this is 7 years ago when you could just go and, oh, I made this much money, I'm going to do a course and blah blah blah, and you start
Yep.
something and you're not really skilled enough to even do it, but that's just part of the journey, and that's kind of what I did. And actually doing the courses helped me way like improve as a trader, because when I do a course, like I have to have it perfect, and then when I'm doing the course I'm learning more, and it's so that's actually what really helped me as a trader. And it helped me actually set my rules for my trading, was like, all right, how am I going to teach people how to set rules so that they can maintain this long term? And after every course I would do, it would absolutely improve my trading system. And so, like, yes, like having that side income, I think, is very like you need it unless you have like a bunch of money saved. Like right now, I don't need a side income. Um, but I'm trying to build a stinking I'm trying to build something big, you know what I mean? So it's like, and I have conviction in this, because like I know what I can bring to the table, as far as like maybe what I feel other people aren't bringing to the table as mentors. And it's like I know what it takes, so like I have that conviction, and it's like I truthfully believe that I can trade change these traders' lives. And so that's why I really enjoy it. But yeah, definitely having that side income, I think, really helps.
So I mean, I've been in those shoes. Like creating a course really does, it forces you to really have to articulate what you know. And when you do that,
Exactly.
you start to realize like, okay, maybe my exit strategy is not as clear as I thought it was, because now I have to put it into a video. I'm like, maybe this is not as clear as I thought. So if someone's not doesn't want to go out there and create a course, is there anything that you guys would recommend that they could do to get that same result? Like being able to put it out there or put it down somewhere in order to read it back or something?
Man, see, that's the thing for me. It's like, dude, I recommend everyone try to build a course of their own trading strategy. Like, I think it helps so much. And I've even said this on like the Old Trader Society podcast. Like, if you can build a course on how you trade, it's going to improve your trading. Like, you have to go into detail about your strategy, and it exposes the weakness in your strategy. And so like to me, like do a course. Like you don't have to sell it or anything, but do a course and like really, if you were teaching, let's say your nephew on like how to trade, like how are you going to teach him? Like how are you going to put this into a course so that it's like something that he can maintain long term? Other than that, you got the back testing, you got forward testing, you got all that fun stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like you really have to get a detailed description of your system that is proven long term maintainable.
That's okay. Long term, proven, and maintainable. Those are the three biggest keywords. If you guys are taking notes, if you're building a strategy, it has to be something that you can do all the time. Like there's always like you guys know those like trick shots? That's what I call them. It's like a trade that works sometimes, and when it works, it does, but it's not reliable. Versus like a very reliable system, which is kind of what I feel like the shark fin strategy is.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
so Joe, you probably already had a foundation before you met Derek. What was it about Derek's system, or was it something very specific about Derek's system that kind of helped you get to that point that you're at right now?
It was the combination of the indicators, the confluence, but not just the confluence as far as why to take the trade, but the reading of confluences once you're in a trade to be able to say, okay, this is an area where I should move my stop to slightly in profit. Okay, this is an area I should take partials because it could reverse against me, and to know even when to exit early, which will happen at times also. So just the mainly I would say the reading of confluence was so different because he doesn't just use price action. He doesn't just use Bollinger Bands. He doesn't just use the TDI, but it's the meshing together of these indicators. And it's almost like if somebody were to say to you, what would your picture perfect A plus setup? And for his strategy, it would be like, shark fin on the TDI at a moving average, going with the trend, and the shark fin on one time frame would be divergence on smaller time frames. Like you'd get time frame correlation with the higher time frames, multiple confluences on each time frame. And then what I noticed with him is he will only take pretty much the picture perfect setup. And for me, like I was taking trick shots. It was okay if you put a buy stop or a sell stop on US 30 at NYSE Open, when it plays out, it's going to play out really well. But if it's like it wasn't defined, that's the easiest way I could describe is before I had no definition, no real understanding of confluence or how to combine confluences across multiple time frames and using several indicators. Like that is what got my win rate and success like just shot through the roof,
There,
understanding that.
it really sounds like Derek was able to take his experience and kind of be able to give you clarity. Clarity, I think, is like that one word because you're like you knew all these different topics, but it's how do the different time frames correlate with each other? How does the retracement impact this specific pattern? What are high probability? And also, Derek, this is something that I really look up to you for, which is being very selective as a trader, which has led to
Hmm.
you having such a high win rate. You said it in Scottsdale that you only take 4 or 5 trades a month. Can you talk about being a selective trader and kind of touch on that?
So, it's like, I think it's so important, right? Like, there's so many people that are like, oh, this is a potential trade setup. And like, they get this FOMO, this like, it starts to reverse a little bit, like before where I want to enter. And so they'll enter right there. And for me, like when I'm entering a trade, like it has to go to a specific area. Market structure has to line up, confluence has to line up, and my indicator has to line up. Like, and when that happens, that's the only time I'll take a trade. Now, if like for example, we took one loss in our first loss, like it was perfect confluence, great confluence. There was a 250 cross. And it was on like support turned resistance. It was a good trade. It looked nice on the chart. But the thing that didn't read was the TDI. And to like I've done back testing on the TDI, and when all three of these line up, like it's pretty much gonna guarantee win. the TDI didn't line up, and I was like, oh man, like I got a good entry and I got my stop and profit where because it did shoot down like 20 pips and then came back up and shot up another 60. And I said after it hit this area, I'm like, ooh, like I talked to Joe and I was like, oh man, we shouldn't have taken this trade. Is because it's like a slow couple weeks. We weren't getting the people signals because there was just nothing in the market. And when you have people constantly going at you like, hey, when's another signal going to come? And it's like, after that happened, I got mad because I was like, you know what? Like, if we don't call a signal, like, it's because there's nothing in the market. And I'm going to give you good signals. And if I tell you to get in a trade, like, you're going to win the trade. But I'm not going to call something that's just like half-assed because you guys are mad that, you know, I'm not giving you 6 signals a week,
My
But if I,
my friend Omer on my team, he's the same way. And his phrase to everybody is, do you guys want to win or do you want to trade? And
mm-hmm,
that's what he tells everybody. Like they're coming to you because you have a high win rate. Do they
yep.
want to take a trade every day or do they want to have a 90% win rate? Because you can't have both.
Exactly.
You got to pick one.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's where it comes in is being selective. Like on the trades that I take, like I have such conviction that that trade is going to win. Like it's like a knowing. Like I know in every part of my body, like, oh, this is it right here. And when it all connects, it's like I'd way rather have that feeling than take a trade that I don't know about and then take that loss and like
So
um what
sorry,
was that?
I had a quick question. So you have such a high win rate, and I feel like because my win rate's not that high, but I'm more of a risk and reward trader. So like the wins
Yeah.
make up for the losses. But how do you stop yourself from over leveraging basically? Like if I had the power of having like a 92% win rate, it'd be very hard for me not to go heavier. So how do you keep yourself accountable?
Ah, man, you know what it is that I've been so low and I've been so broke and I've been pretty much, I've lived in my freaking Honda and being at that point, like, I've made money, I've lost money, made money, lost money. Being at that point, like, dude, like for me, if I'm risking 0.25% of my account right now and my take profit's 1%, like I'm making great freaking money. So I don't want to get that greedy point where it's like, okay, I'm going to risk 10% on this trade, even though like I know it's going to work out to make like, in an insane amount of money. But like, dude, I'm okay with the base hits. I'm okay with making 5, 10, 15, 20,000 on a single trade setup, and only taking trade setups like that, maybe 3, 4, 5 times a month. And dude, that to me is a great living. Like I'm living the dream right now. And ultimately it's brought me so many more opportunities to where it's like it is going to be insane. And I think that's what it's just taken being failed so many times, like and being at a point where it's like, all right, dude, be grateful for where you're at and what you have. And that was the ultimate reason why I think that I won't over leverage. Like because when you over leverage and you fail that one time, man, your psychology is all screwed up. You're like, oh crap, like I don't know about this trade now. It's like that's why I will not over leverage. But a lot of people do ask me that. They're like, why don't you risk 30% of your account? It's like, I mean, dude,
I think it's the experience. It's like once you touch your hand on the stove enough times, it's very obvious.
exactly.
It's like, why don't you like stoves? It's like, bro, let me tell you a story.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Joe, can you talk about some like what is the biggest takeaway that you've had as a trader just being around Derek? Is it patience? Is it clarity? Is it being selective with your trade? Like, what do you feel like are like the biggest things you've seen change in your own trading?
Definitely the being selective. So I could say that at least for me, my mindset when I was early in my trading career and until I kind of met him and started to adapt his methods was I was definitely a scalper. But my reasoning for being a scalper is what also led me to fail because the mindset of me being a scalper, at least the way I interpreted it, was I wanted to make fast money. And that's already right off the bat the wrong type of mindset to have when it comes to trading, and I was not able to be consistently profitable with the scalping mentality of trying to be quick in and out. And like me and Derek have talked about it before, and it's like because I wasn't confident in my method, where to be a swing trader, hold a trade for 3 days, catch 300, 400 pips, like you have to be confident in your strategy to be able to hold and know that at any point you're 250, you could be up 250 pips, that thing could reverse come all the way against you. Like it takes a degree of being very confident. And I did not have that with scalping. I felt like every time I was kind of clicking that button, it was like crossing my fingers and like, I hope this plays out. So definitely the higher time frames for me was a big game changer. Like when I went through his course and I saw that he was on the 4 hour time frame and higher, I immediately went from, I was a 5 minute, 1 minute time frame trader. I was like, well, I have to do this. Like I'm switching to the 4 hour. That's that. That's what he does. That's what I'm gonna do. There was no well, I'm like a scalper. That's my personality. I'm just going to have to make my trading adapt. It was no, that method works. I'm going to change who I am as a person to be able to trade that way.
That's awesome. I think you guys definitely just helped a lot of people out. Just whoever's listening to this and they're probably just one or two steps away. I think that's awesome. I want to ask you guys a dual question to sort of wrap this up, but I want to get it from both of your perspective. If I'm going to ask Joe first. Joe, if someone's coming to the conference and they're kind of where you were last year, like they're working a job, they're showing up, they really don't know what to expect. Is there anything that you would recommend doing to sort of help get the most out of that experience?
Yeah, I would say to go there with the mindset of a sponge for sure. Talk to everybody, soak up what you can. Because that was how I went in. Like there were points, it's very easy to think that just because you're a trader, it kind of comes with almost like a cocky mentality of like, oh, well, I made $2,000 in 5 minutes type of carrying yourself. And I felt when I went to the summit, going there that weekend, like I completely put that aside. I'm like, I really don't know everything, and I can't go there acting like I know stuff when I don't. So I was very open to talking to all the guys that were there. And, even though I knew a bunch of the guys that were going there, it's not like, like I took pictures with some of them. I had short conversations with James Storms, Q Bank, some of the guys who at that point I looked up to and seen all of their content. But there was still something that was very different about when I had met Derek and the conversations we had. And not to say anything bad about anybody else, but I was able to definitely see a degree of authenticity that same night I was able to look up what he was talking about and realize that what he was saying was really on point. He wasn't just saying he had like one of the best strategies around. It took me 30 minutes of hopping on a chart, going back testing with that TDI pulled up and seeing what happened when these shark fins hit, MAs, just what he was talking about. So I went in with a very open mind and I pretty much looked at the charts and I kind of back tested what some of these guys were saying, is what you could say, is like he checked out,
That's
like
awesome.
he really checked out.
And I really love the part where you didn't just go out there and like just take the information at face value. You really tried to verify it for yourself. Derek, I want to ask you this in two parts. One, can you give advice to a trader that's pulling up on how they can kind of present themselves to get a really successful relationship out of the FX Summit? And also, what would you tell to other speakers, exhibitors, traders that people are coming to see on how they can also build better relationships?
Okay, so for like a trader that's coming up, just come like, dude, bring your notebook and like really listen. Especially, you got to take things with discernment as a trader, right? Like for me, it's like, okay, let's see who has like a track record of like really trading. Because at the end of the day, like I said, there's a lot of people that are building businesses, and then there's a lot of people that are, actually traders, and that's what they do, which neither are wrong, right? Um, but I think there are like if you are trying to be a trader and full-time trader, like I think there are things that you just need to be like kind of obvious with yourself about like who's who's really making this happen as a trader in like a trader mindset and not like the business person mindset. And then, for people at the FX Summit that are speakers and just I think it's just, give the best advice that you know how to give, as far as like don't give people like the false hope that, risk it for the biscuit, make this all happen. You should be risking more. It's like this is a long-term, consistent game. You need to play this game and be smart, because if you are trying to risk it for the biscuit, man, it's gonna come back and bite you eventually. I think we've all been bit. We all know what it feels like to be bit, and just be honest with people that it's not, let's see you can flip it and make the most.
That is world-class advice. Derek, it's always the unconventional stuff that hits the hardest. And I know that you kind of reiterated all of this in the live workshop that we did, but I appreciate you kind of bringing a lot of this back up, which is people got to be able to focus on who's really doing it, because the personality that it takes to be a trader, you got to be able to feed off of someone who's really doing it. Otherwise, you might be building a personality for someone you think is a trader, but really they're not trading, and you kind of went down the wrong road. Are you gents ready to run this back at the summit? We'll do a podcast together in person.
Dude, let's make it happen, my brother.
100%.
Joe, are you down?
Of course.
All right, incredible. Did you guys want to leave anybody? Is there anything on you guys' mind, either about trading or about anything else that you guys want to leave folks with?
This is what I'm going to say is, if you're a person, especially, a man in this industry, like the first step to doing anything great is following through with yourself. If you can't even follow through with yourself when you say you're going to do something for yourself, it's going to show in what you do. It's going to show in the work that you present this world. So first step you should try and do is just show up for yourself and be consistent with yourself, and really, don't go against your own word with yourself. If you maintain your word to yourself, the confidence will start rising and you'll see a huge difference in your life.
I love that. Like basically, just to kind of wrap it up, like if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're hurting your own credibility with yourself, basically.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome stuff. Derek, I really appreciate you. Joe, thank you for setting this up, and thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing both of you gents at the FX Summit conference. We'll set up a small like a podcast station at the expo, and we'll do this thing in person.
Heck yeah, let's make it happen, brother. God bless, and thanks for having us on, my man.
Anytime. Appreciate you, fellas.
You too.
Awesome. Thank you, Roy.
All right, everybody, we just saw some incredible traders here at the FIP compound. Make sure that you guys grab your tickets to the FX Summit 2023 conference if you want to meet all these incredible traders, if you want to meet myself and learn from the best. So we'll see you guys, FXSummit2023.com.